Have you ever wondered how secure your online data really is? Let's take a journey back to the dawn of cybersecurity, a time when the term cyber was as alien as the concept of security in a digital realm. It all began in the swinging 60s, with the advent of the internet. A revolutionary technology, it promised to connect the world like never before, but with its inception came the first whispers of potential risks. The concept of cybersecurity was born. In those early days, there was a naive belief that the internet was a safe haven, a utopia free from the perils of the physical world. But as the decade rolled on, it became clear that this new digital landscape was a frontier yet to be tamed. The 70s brought with it the first recognized computer virus. Known as Creeper, it was a simple piece of code that replicated itself and spread across the network of its time. Although benign, Creeper was a harbinger of the threats to come. Then came the 80s, a decade of neon, synthesizers, and the first hacker prosecutions. The hacking community, once a niche group of tech enthusiasts, had started to attract individuals with less than noble intentions. The first hacker prosecutions not only highlighted the potential for criminal activity in the cyber realm, but also marked the beginning of legal and ethical debates that continue to this day. Throughout this period, the need for cybersecurity started to take root. The promise of a connected world also came with the challenge of protecting it. The pioneers of the digital age had to grapple with this new reality, a reality in which anyone with a modem and a bit of know-how could pose a threat to the digital landscape. And thus began the never-ending battle between cybersecurity and cyber threats. The dawn of cybersecurity was not just a technological evolution, but a societal one. It marked the beginning of a new era, one in which our personal, professional, and national security would be forever intertwined with the digital world. It was, in every sense, the dawn of a new age. As our reliance on the digital world grew, so did the threats. The 90s and the noughties were a time of immense change. As the digital world expanded, so too did the shadowy realm of cyber threats. The sophistication of these threats grew exponentially, with each passing year bringing new challenges and hurdles for cybersecurity experts to overcome. Let's rewind back to the year 2000. The world was recovering from the Y2K scare when a new threat emerged, causing havoc on a global scale. Enter the I Love You virus, a computer worm that spread via email, causing billions of dollars in damage and affecting millions of computers worldwide. This was not a simple prank by a bored teenager. It was a calculated attack that exploited our growing reliance on digital communication. But the I Love You virus was just the tip of the iceberg. As we moved further into the 21st century, the threats became more complex, more insidious. The rise of botnets marked a new era in cyber threats. These networks of infected computers could be controlled remotely, used to launch coordinated attacks, or to spread malware on an unprecedented scale. And then came phishing, a scam as old as time, repackaged for the digital age. Cyber criminals posing as legitimate entities, tricking individuals into handing over sensitive information. The simplicity of phishing belied its effectiveness, and it quickly became one of the most prevalent forms of cyber threats. Each of these incidents marked a leap in the sophistication of cyber threats. They exploited our trust, our interconnectedness, our reliance on the digital world. They showed us that as technology evolved, so too did the methods of those who sought to exploit it. But with every attack, every breach, every stolen password, we learned. Cybersecurity experts rose to the challenge, developing new strategies, new defenses. They worked tirelessly to stay one step ahead, to protect our digital world from those who sought to do it harm. With threats multiplying, cybersecurity had to evolve rapidly to keep up. In the blink of an eye, cybersecurity was no longer just about protecting individual computers or networks. It had evolved into a much broader and more complex beast. The rise of the internet and digital technology had not only changed the way we live and work, but it also brought about a new era of conflict and espionage. It was an era where warfare moved beyond physical borders and cyber warfare became a reality. State-sponsored cyber warfare emerged as a new strategy for nations to exert power and influence. It was no longer about who had the most tanks and jets, but about who had the most skilled hackers and the most robust cyber defenses. Countries began to invest heavily in developing their cyber arsenals, with the goal of infiltrating enemy networks, disrupting critical infrastructures, and stealing valuable information. In this new battlefield, cyber attacks became a common tool of conflict. They were no longer isolated incidents, but part of a larger strategy. One of the most significant events that demonstrated this shift was the Stuxnet attack. It was a sophisticated piece of malware allegedly developed by the United States and Israel to sabotage Iran's nuclear program. This wasn't just a virus infecting a computer, it was a targeted attack aimed at crippling a nation's critical infrastructure. Alongside cyber warfare, the rise of cyber espionage added another layer of complexity. The Sony Pictures hack in 2014 is a prime example. It was an incident where hackers, allegedly backed by North Korea, infiltrated the company's network and leaked unreleased films and confidential data. This event not only caused massive financial losses but also raised questions about the security of corporate networks and the threat of state-sponsored hacking. The battlefield had shifted, and now it was the whole world at stake. Cybersecurity was no longer just about protecting data, it was about protecting nations, economies, and societies. It was about ensuring the stability and security of our increasingly interconnected world. The fallout from a cyber attack can be catastrophic. The ripple effects extend far beyond the immediate disruption, causing societal and governmental impacts that can be felt for years. Consider the monumental financial losses. Cybersecurity ventures predict that by the year 2025, cybercrime could cost the world upwards of $10.5 trillion annually. That's more than the gross domestic product of many countries. It's not just big businesses that bear the brunt. Small and medium enterprises with their often weaker security protocols are regular victims too. Then, there are the infamous data breaches. Take Equifax for example. In 2017, sensitive information of nearly 147 million people was exposed. Personal details, credit card information, social security numbers, a veritable goldmine for identity thieves. Moreover, the disruption to infrastructure can be paralyzing. The WannaCry ransomware attack of 2017 is a case in point. It crippled the UK's National Health Service, causing an estimated 19,000 appointment cancellations. Imagine the chaos and potential loss of life when critical healthcare services grind to a halt. However, perhaps the most insidious impact is the erosion of public trust. When governments and institutions fail to protect sensitive data, faith in their competence wanes. This can lead to a decline in civic participation and in some cases social unrest. But let's not forget, cyber attacks aren't just about stealing information or causing disruption. They're also about power and control. A successful cyber attack can cripple a nation's economy, disrupt its infrastructure, and sow the seeds of discord among its citizens. In the 21st century, wars are not only fought on physical battlefields, but also in the virtual arena. The weapons of choice are not guns and bombs, but codes and algorithms. The battlefield is not land, sea, or air, but the complex labyrinth of interconnected devices we call the internet. These attacks serve as a stark reminder of our vulnerability in the digital age. Navigating the murky waters of cyber warfare is a complex task. The ethical and legal challenges surrounding this digital battleground are as vast as they are intricate. Ethically, the questions are profound. Is it acceptable to use cyber weapons to disable critical infrastructure in a country we're not at war with? If a cyber attack leads to loss of human life, is it equivalent to physical warfare? These are not hypothetical questions. They are real dilemmas faced by governments and organizations in the digital age. From a legal perspective, the terrain is equally challenging. Cyber warfare exists in a gray area of international law. There are no universally accepted norms or rules governing cyber warfare. The United Nations Charter's principles of sovereignty and non-interference provide some guidance, but cyber warfare often blurs these boundaries, creating a fog of ambiguity. The difficulty of attribution adds another layer of complexity. In the digital realm, it's hard to pin down who is responsible for a cyber attack. Attackers often route their actions through multiple countries, use anonymizing tools, or employ sophisticated techniques to mask their identity. This makes it difficult to hold the perpetrators accountable and to take legal action. Then there's the debate over what constitutes an act of war in cyberspace. Is it an act of war if a nation-state hacks another country's power grid, causing widespread blackouts? Or is it merely a criminal act? The line between cybercrime and cyber warfare is often blurred, making it hard to establish clear rules of engagement. As we delve deeper into these issues, we find ourselves in a world of paradoxes and puzzles. A world where traditional notions of warfare, ethics, and law are being constantly challenged and redefined. As we continue to grapple with these challenges, one thing is clear: the future of cybersecurity is a journey into uncharted territory.